Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Can I please get a vote to go into closed session for discussion and/or action regarding those items of business exempt from open meetings law under General Laws of Rhode Island, RIGL 42-46-5, A1, A2, A4, A8, A9?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
What, who are they?
Sure. Jesus. I wasn't ready for that.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. If we could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could I please get a vote to seal the minutes of executive session?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And no votes were taken in executive session. First, we're going to start off then with the recognitions. The first one is the Warwick PTA School of Excellence Award. Is Mr. Galligan here?
So we are very honored and very lucky to have a really hardworking PTA and very involved PTA at our school that's composed of our parents, guardians, community members, and of course our teachers and staff. And they have worked extremely hard over the last year to gain recognition as a National PTA School of Excellence, which we're very proud of. And so I have with me tonight the president of our PTA, Sarah Kleiberg, who was very instrumental in bringing this to life at our school, and we're eager to continue the great work that's been started in this process and seeing it through for as long as we can. So thank you.
I would also like to recognize the other members of the PTA board who were also instrumental in this process of surveying parents and faculty and staff and identifying ways in which we could improve our school community. And we have a lot of opportunities moving forward for this school year and for the boards and PTAs that succeed us in the future.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Superintendent Deanrick?
I'd also like to to offer my congratulations. I know it was a big self-study and a lot of reflection and looking into your practices, and I know you hope to increase family engagement, attract new members, active members to the PTA, so congratulations. I'm very proud of you.
I would also like to add, that is one of my district schools, and I do hear from constituents in the Warwick Neck family on how much they love Warwick Net School and how much they love all the things that the PTA does bring. So I too want to congratulate you on this great honor and say how proud I am of you. Thank you. Next is the Tollgate Girls Soccer Division 3 state champions. Mr. Ricks.
Good evening, everybody. I'm excited, too, to honor our state champion, Lady Titans. I'd like to just say a few words about them because this group of ladies really proved to be quite resilient over the last 3 years, especially our senior Lady Titans. They went through the whole COVID era where they had to compete with masks on their face. And just 2 short years ago, they won the Division III state despite having an abbreviated season, wearing masks, and really persevering through those tough times. Last year, they were moved up to Division II, and they had another equally successful season. They did not win the championship, but it was quite a success in that realm anyway. So come to this year, we saw a realignment year again, in which the Lady Titans were moved down to Division III, simply because of numbers. And they were very disappointed to be moved down in 3, considering the success they had in Division II. But they didn't let that phase them one bit. Early in the season, this past season, a lot of you may not know, they lost 4 very good soccer players to the team that were major contributors. They lost them to injuries. The team did not see that as a major setback. Instead, they took it as a chance to take on the next lady up philosophy and work the best they can to fill whatever void they had with the loss of those players. And certainly they measured up to the task, and that's why we're here to celebrate them today. The team made it to the finals, and they drew Westerly, who was the only team to defeat them this year. So certainly that was in the back of their minds that the one team they had to go through was the only team that had any type of real strong success against them. And that was not a deterrent. And if that wasn't enough, on their way to the state championship game, their bus was sideswiped by a hit-and-run driver. They had to be pulled over on the side of the road. The state police come. Luckily, no one was injured. A lot of people don't know that, but certainly that could have been a distraction. Again, it did not faze our Lady Titans. They were determined to battle on the field, and they did. And obviously the score ended up in our favor with a 1-0 victory over Westerly. The goal was scored by Shinyu Vega, and Alana Pereira was outstanding in goal that day. So I certainly want to give a shout out to them, but it was a total team victory. And if you ask the coaches and their teammates and 2 young ladies that I mentioned, they would say the same. But it was outstanding effort by the whole team and those players. So the seniors finished with a career record of 37-6. So they definitely left an indelible mark on that program and set the standards high for the future Lady Titans to continue that success. We're excited about that. And probably just as equally impressive as what they did on the field, they were also very successful in the classroom, with many or almost all of the athletes achieving outstanding grades. So we couldn't be more pleased. I know the coaching staff couldn't be more pleased, and Principal Calori could not be more pleased than what these girls were able to accomplish this year. So I just want to say congrats to the coaching staff who worked hard with them all season. Congrats to the girls, and at this time, we'd like to call you down to give you a certificate of your recognition of your championship performance. Ladies, will you come down, please? You want them to sit once they get it, or after? Do you want to say something to them? Do you want me to recognize first? Candy, you want to?
Okay.
I'll call them out. Okay. You can check them out. Caitlin Pale. Anna Pickering. Morgan Cianello. Ava Fisher. I'm sorry. Our certificates are out of order. Madison Gautieri. Ava Morocco. Haley Randall. Carrie Yeoman. Nalanaya Eid. Jaden Moore. Isabella LaFontaine. Alana Pereira. Ariana Costa. Grace Holdridge. Samantha Laurent. Addison O'Rourke. Elizabeth Lagergren. Shinyu Vega. Reagan Allen. Callie Fagundis. Brooklyn Marinelli. Rachel Moretti. Adeline Arison. Olivia Dutra. Victoria Halstead. Leah Fortin. Stella Blue Kraus. Olivia Silva. Caitlin Aiello. Ella Browner. Brooklyn Gray. Juliana Mendez. Coach Bob Enright. Assistant coach Keith Randall, and the manager Jessica Carpenter. I'd just like to add a couple of side awards, individual awards, because while certainly here we're here to honor the team, we did some individuals that reached their own recognition. First team all division was Caitlin Pale and Morgan Cianello. Academic all state was Haley Randall. Carrie Yellman was all state. Second team all division was Alana Pereira. Brooklyn Marinelli was all state, and Leah Fortin received the Alice Sullivan Award for Perseverance. So congratulations, ladies. Job well done. Do you want to get a picture? If anybody else would like to get a picture too, parents, feel free.
Mr. Ricks, may I ask, how many of you are coming back for another year? How many of you? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, that's pretty good. Good.
We lost 13 seniors, so
Oh,
they all had field time, so it's going to be interesting.
okay. No pressure.
Congratulations, girls. Well done.
Public comment. Okay, we'll move on now to public comment. This is for agenda items only.
Okay, my name is Darlene Netco, lifelong resident of Warwick, homeowner, taxpayer, voter. 35 years in the classroom, 33 of which have been in Warwick. I am currently an English teacher at Tollgate High School, and I'm president of the Warwick Teachers Union. And first, I want to congratulate the PTA and all of Warwick Neck Elementary School for that fine honor that they worked so hard to achieve. And, you know, that just goes to prove what wonderful schools we do have in Warwick. And I think if you looked at all of our schools, you would find equally, you know, wonderful things. And unfortunately, we don't always get, you know, that kind of recognition. So I think it's, you know, outstanding that Warwick Neck has been able to achieve that recognition. Also, obviously, congratulations to the Tollgate girls soccer team, the Lady Titans. Tollgate is also my alma mater. I won't tell you what year I graduated, but if you did some math, you could probably figure out it was a while ago. One thing, though, I have to bring up again. Tollgate is 2 words, capital T, capital G. Just saying. On the agenda is a list of different curricula to be approved. One of the curricula is for business, and I think it might be for high school, but I think I want to bring up an issue right now with middle school business. Right now, for some reason, at Warwick Vets that I know of, the classes are combined in business with 7th and 8th grade, and there's no way to properly teach the curriculum for business if you're combining the same grade. And whatever the reason is for that happening, it needs to stop. And since scheduling will probably be starting soon, let's fix that for next year, because there's no reason why we have 7th and 8th grade in the same class. And sometimes this happens in some of the other subjects, such as art, music, tech ed. Each of those departments has a distinctive curriculum for each grade. So the students cannot be combined. And while we're on the subject of curriculum, I'm going to put in one more time the plug to have phys ed at the high school level fixed. So it's 3/4 phys ed, 1/4 health. Even if it means having to get rid of Surviving the Wild, I think you need to have a full year of actual phys ed, physical education. Thank you.
Hi, I'm a parent of a child in Warwick Public Schools. I've announced myself month after month. On the agenda tonight, you are reading the student survey data policy.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, not to interrupt, but just state your name.
Tara Lavasser.
Thank you.
You are reading the student survey data policy for the second time tonight. However, it should be the first reading since you never read it aloud at last month's meeting. As I stand up here time and time again, I continue to talk about how parents do not have transparency with the surveys. I've requested and done public records requests to see the actual surveys and have only received demo copies of the surveys, which is a violation of public records requests. I have also requested to see what goes into the Panorama database and have gotten lies, excuses, and the runaround, as in the Panorama database is down. That is a child's educational record. I have access to that. That is a violation of the PPRA federal law. When it comes to the school committee, I have also gotten crickets, ignored, and no help, saying that the school committee doesn't deal with grievances. However, I have read your school committee member ethics, Code of Principles and Ethical Standards. Number 5, make public relevant institutional information in order to promote communication and understanding between the school system and the community. I've asked time and time again for transparency for the surveys and the Panorama data. Number 9, establish and maintain procedural steps for resolving complaints and criticisms of school affairs. Number 11, recognize the first and greatest concern must be the educational welfare of the students attending public schools. The greatest welfare. My child's information is going into a database. I contacted RIDE, told you last month, they have opt-outs. PPRA, federal law, no information can go into a database without my permission as a parent. School committee, recognize the first and greatest concern must be educational welfare of the students attending public schools. I sincerely hope in January the new school committee who ran on these ethics will do their job. Honestly, I would not be standing here time and time again if my concerns were validated, if the current school committee followed their own ethics and procedures.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jennifer Swerk. Ms. Stanbrook knows me as Jen Lacey. I am very involved in my daughter's education. She goes to Robertson Elementary School, and for the most part, things are great. I, too, am up here to speak about the new policy. I've watched all the meetings online at home. It's hard for me to get here at night, but I felt like it was important to come and speak about it and maybe get some answers, because I did watch the last meeting and I didn't hear it read aloud, and I know tonight it's up for a second read. Maybe I'm mistaken, but that's what it says on there. I guess I'm a little concerned with the database itself. It's not so much, there are parts of the curriculum that I do find concerning. It just seems like we did a total 360. I mean, I grew up with you. You were my role model. She's a very strong, beautiful woman who is in a position of power. That's how I always saw you growing up. So I hope that you take this, not the wrong way. I'm here because I really care about where we're going education-wise, and it just seems like each school, although maybe all the principals attend the same meetings, I feel like each school does things differently. So maybe for starters, we can have an across-the-board policy that everyone's aware of or follows. My issue with the Panorama database is that our information has already been shared, and a little different from Ms. Lavasser's, but I feel like it's just as important. Privacy is a big thing, especially for my family. My husband works in law enforcement, and my daughter is 10. I don't feel like the school should be able to act as an agent or assign a third party to act as their agent and make decisions like the ones that are on this form, the student surveys form that I pulled from the site, that you're going to speak on. Political affiliations, mental or psychological problems of the student or student's family, sex behaviors or attitudes, illegal or self-incriminating information. It goes on. I know you all have it. Anyone else can pull it from tonight's agenda. I just don't understand. I want someone to make me understand how this is curriculum related. We never had to answer questions like this growing up. I know times change and we have to adjust, which I think I'm pretty adaptable and approachable, but I have a hard time with this, and I really have a hard time with information, especially when it comes to my daughter, being shared. I mean, you log into Aspen and you see your child's photo. So Panorama can say they're as secure as they want, but everybody knows education is one of the top 3 industries to be pretty much attacked, suffer a cyber attack and a breach. And I just don't, I think parents should be more informed. I feel like we learn later on or after the fact, especially when it comes to things like this. I think the parents should be more informed. We didn't really have a chance to opt out, a timely chance to opt out, and it was not easy to do. And as far as I'm aware, unless I'm mistaken, you cannot opt out of the platform altogether. That's my biggest gripe. So I just hope that that's taken into consideration before we move forward on this, or maybe a resolution can be reached. I don't know. I've never done this before. I'm a little bit nervous. I want some answers, and I'm not getting them. I'm getting different answers everywhere I go. Everyone's been giving answers, they don't match up, they're not adding up. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Hartel. I am a special educator here at VETS, and I am here tonight to address Agenda Item J, which is administrative resignations. Speaking specifically to the recently announced resignation of Troy Sylvia, one of our assistant principals of climate and culture here at VETS. I want to shed light on what a devastating loss this is, not just to our school, but to our community. And I'd like to take a moment just to outline the qualities in this administrator that made him such an asset to our district. Mr. Sylvia is a continuous learner. He is an empowered citizen, and beyond that, he made us want to be better as well and empowered us just through his presence and his leadership. He is an empathetic collaborator, really looking into the details of a situation and listening to the faculty and staff and the students' concerns. He is a skilled communicator because he could take ownership of, if he made, a misstep, or if he needed to get a point across. He always did so respectfully. He's an innovative problem solver with everything in respect to school safety and, approaches to discipline or, interactions with students. He's a critical thinker, and he also strove to be healthy and balanced as a learner. And if any of those sound very familiar, that is because Mr. Sylvia is our vision of a graduate in Warwick. He is what we should want our own students and children to be. He is what I want my own sons to be. And now he is leaving. And the reason for that is because his position was unsustainable. If there was anyone who could have done the best for the longest, it was him. We have been through so many administrators because the workload and expectations upon them are frankly unreasonable, and nobody can sustain working 14 to 16 hours per day, day in and day out, to deal with the required elements of the job, from communicating with staff to making sure that students have what they need, involvement in DCYF matters as needed, being on call at school events. That is not sustainable, and others have reached out before me to upper administration, and I believe members of the school committee, asking for another administrator. We need an administrator for each grade here. We have a student population that necessitates it. We have student-generated conflict reports that necessitate it, that involve mediation, sometimes investigations. We have office referrals of a serious nature. Just one today that was put out, okay, that need addressing in a timely manner. When is all of that supposed to get done? How is an administrator supposed to have a personal life and to recharge? Yet he did so with a smile every day and never made anyone feel like they were imposing if they needed something. How are we going to prevent this from happening again? If we are lucky to get another administrator like Mr. Sylvia, we need to be proactive instead of reactive. Now that we have the information and we have essentially lost, like I said, one of the greatest assets that we've had here. In my 22 years, I've never seen an administrator like him. We need to address the administrative crisis that we have going on, and we need to do that with more staffing. It is my understanding that the proposed budget is due in early January. I am here in public comment to say that we need to make that one of the items that we include. It absolutely needs to be done. Okay? Our students deserve nothing but the best. And we cannot give that to them with overworked, overstressed, and burnt out administrators. Who will lead us? And if I may, Mr. Testa, just because you know me the best, I would like to just remind you, of a few things from, back when you were on this side of the podium. You were always an advocate for what you believed in. You were up at this microphone just as much, if not more, than anyone else. Okay? And you've also spoken to the importance of retaining quality administrators. It is important. One other thing that you also said, one of the nicest things anybody has said about me personally, is you followed a public comment of mine right after we consolidated, right before you were elected, and you said that anything that Mrs. Hartel says should be taken as gospel. And I'm respectfully asking you to honor that. I've come to collect, because it's important enough that this needs to be addressed, and it needs to be addressed now. We cannot lose another administrator like that. Thank you.
Good evening. Darylyn Gorton, taxpayer, grandparent, and teacher in Warwick. I am actually the business teacher here at Veterans this year, and I just want to follow up with the curriculum item. I want to also clarify that not only do I have courses of 7th and 8th grade students that are mixed, but over 60% of my 8th graders that are mixed in with my 7th graders had me last year. So contractually, I'm supposed to do one prep, which means those 60% of those students are supposed to redo my course because I have to teach the new students. I am not the only anomaly. There were 13 different courses that I researched at the beginning of the school year that had this kind of mixture of 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students. I'm told that it cannot be fixed because there are not enough courses or not enough teachers, and the budget won't allow for it. Again, I would just like to implore you, not only am I working 12-hour days to accommodate these students so they don't have to fall into that category, but it is not in their best interest because I can't give to every student in my class. Finally, and I know this is a contractual issue, but the last contract, we gave up weighting or ratios, whatever you want to call it, to make it acceptable. On average, in my classes, because I do teach reading, I do have reading and writing and math, I am the only teacher in that class unless my special ed students have aides. And I have anywhere from 6 to over 60% IEPs in one classroom. And I am the sole educator. So I would ask you to think about, how do I service those students and deal with the mix of students that I'm given? Thank you for your time.
Okay, moving on to recommended actions. Can I have a motion to approval of minutes of public session November 9th, 2022?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can I have a motion for approval of minutes of executive session November 9th, 2022?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can I have a motion for approval of warrants from December 13th, 2022?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And another motion for approval of transfers for December 13th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving on to announcements, personnel as presented. Mrs. Ruggieri.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the school committee. I have a lengthy list tonight, so please bear with me. We're bidding farewell to many dedicated employees tonight. So I'm going to start with retirements, and just as a reminder, we will need a vote. First, we have Betty O'Leary, head custodian at Greenwood Elementary. She's been with us for 21 years. Jack Zawadski, plumber maintenance mechanic. He's been with us for 22 years. Kevin Rossi, maintenance mechanic, 22 years. Frank DeMeo, heating maintenance mechanic, 23 years. Leah Hazelwood, teacher assistant in the IASD program at Pilgrim for 20 years. Mary Ann Carter, teacher assistant at the Career Center for 31 years. Pat Burdick, guidance clerk at Pilgrim, 34 years. Lisa Aruda, teacher assistant kindergarten at Cedar Hill, 36 years. Robert Began, master mechanic, 37 years. And Cynthia Peloso, elementary education secretary, 46 years. That gives us a grand total of 292 years of service from these wise members.
I move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I wish everyone well, and if you ever want to sub, come on back. Then we have some resignations that will also need a vote, please. James Scotty, custodian at Veterans. Jody Beth Garvey, teacher assistant. Wayne Kidd, night custodian at Wyman. Audra Williamson, library media specialist at Cedar Hill and Robertson. Stacy Alley Brennan, library media specialist at Lippert Robertson. Diane Cantwell, elementary teacher, grade 3 at Greenwood. Sarah Anderson, elementary special educator in the co-taught grade 1 at Oakland Beach. And Troy Sylvia, assistant principal of climate and culture at Veterans.
Move approval?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. This is also a great loss to the district for all these people that will be moving on to other positions. And finally, as courtesy announcements, I have some appointments tonight. We'd like to welcome Frank Scalzo as the general accountant in the business office. Linda Murray, a teacher assistant one-on-one at Tollgate. Angelo Piccirilli, the plumber maintenance mechanic. Katie Rendine, central registration clerk. Ellen Robinson, special educator in the co-taught grade 1 at Oakland Beach. Michael Lortieri, elementary teacher grade 4 at Scott. And Brendan Ford as the administration's behavior specialist facilitator. I'd like to welcome them all to the district. And again, my door is always open for any questions or concerns that may come up. And finally, coaches as presented in your executive session packet. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to adoption of policies. Dr. Cecil.
Yes, good evening, Chairwoman and school committee members. Our first policy up for a second read tonight is policy JRAAB, student surveys. As we talked about last meeting, this is taking the information that we had originally embedded in the other policy around privacy data and made it a standalone policy. It follows the laws of the regulations of the federal government, and I'm requesting approval of this second read.
I'll move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Madam Chair, I just want to,
Oh,
just
yep.
to speak to Dr. Cecil.
Sure.
As I read this policy, I don't have issues with it because it's pretty clear on where the surveys come from. They don't come from Warwick Public Schools. We don't sit around and develop these surveys. This is a federal government survey. It could be a state of Rhode Island survey. If we don't like what's in the surveys, go to your congressman, go to your state rep, go to your state senator. If that information is not something we want, then it comes from them. We just facilitate it. And as I read the policy, it does allow for opt-outs of all that. So if my kids were still in school and I didn't want them to participate in some of these surveys, there's an avenue for me to do that. I wouldn't expect administration to drag their heels, to do any sort of obfuscation to prevent a parent from opting their student out of a particular survey. So the policy, as I see it, I think is fine. The issues with what's in a survey, I don't think that's us. That's who's ever giving it to us. So we're not empowered to pick and choose what we choose to take from the survey. So that's all. Thank you.
All in favor?
Wait.
Oh, Ms. Bacchus.
Mr. Testa is right about this. We worked long and hard on this in the policy committee and have looked at it many different ways. But the surveys aren't coming from Warwick. They are coming from the feds and the state, RIDE, things like that. And we do everything in our power to make people aware. So thank you.
Anyone else? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, next up is policy AC, employee and student anti-harassment. We brought this to you several months ago, and we tabled it get more feedback from legal, and it's been cleared by legal to bring it back. And because the length of time was so long, we decided to bring it back as a first read. The whole reason for this policy is that we have policies on bullying, sexual harassment, but not a generic employee and student anti-harassment that could be on any other type of harassment. And so that's the purpose for this policy. So requesting approval of a first read.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, next up is policy JE, student attendance. This was brought to me because we had in this that we were asking for as a goal 95% attendance. And that was written probably 8 or 10 years ago. RIDE on their own website as their goal is 90%. So we reviewed this and reviewed it with our truancy officer, updated the language, and indeed have changed our goal from 95% attendance to 90% attendance to be in line with RIDE. And our truancy officer, again, went through all the language with us and updated it so that we would be current in what the expectations were and are for student attendance. It's not very many changes. It's really just taking out certain, procedures and things like that that have changed. So I'm asking approval of this first read.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and last but not least, JFCM electronic devices in schools. Although we brought this to you a little while ago, it was brought to our attention that the language around where or the time of day that this applied to needed to be further clarified. And so we have added that language that the cell phones and other personal devices must be powered or turned off and kept out of sight before, during, I guess we need to change that to and, after school hours while on school grounds or at any other school-sponsored event. So that it's clear that whenever a student is on campus, this policy is in effect. So requesting
Then
approval.
move
first read.
approval.
Second.
If I may. Thank you, Dr. Cecil. When I read it, the way it read as submitted to us, it said that there must be powered or turned off and kept out of sight before, during, or after school. So if I'm a teenager, that tells me I can do it anytime I want. So,
So we'll
no,
change it to
I
and.
pushed for this policy many years ago when my kids were in school. Cell phones are probably the biggest distraction that a student has in class. If I had my druthers, I wouldn't allow them in school, but I can't do that. But kids need to be serious about phone usage. Parents need to be serious about talking to their kids about phone usage, because if a teacher is supposed to teach and the kid's distracted in the phone, watching TikToks, and God only knows what else they're doing, there's no need for a cell phone to be on during school. None. If you need to call your parents, you can go to the office and call your parents. You don't need to text back and forth with your friends, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, your uncles, your pen pals in the Philippines. It is a it's a tremendous distraction, and I feel very bad for teachers that try to teach through this, because it's nearly impossible. So, short of not allowing the phone in the classroom, I think this is pretty good. My heart goes out to teachers that have to enforce this, but they're the first line of defense. You would hope, I would hope that if my kids were still in school, they would have the common sense to not use their phone while they're in class, and 2 of my 3 would absolutely have that common sense. One of them would require some work. I am all in favor of this, because if the student's on their phone all day and doing nothing, and then their work doesn't get done, and then mom and dad get upset because they don't pass, and then you got to tell them, well, your child's on the phone all day, we're supposed to fix that. So I fully support this. I won't say any more. Thank you.
And we spent a lot of time on this and reviewed it countless times, and it applies to the entire time that the child is in school, including at an after-school activity or program or what have you. There's, like Mr. Testa said, this stops our kids a lot of times from reading and from learning, because they don't pay attention to what the teacher is doing. They pay attention to what their phone is doing and what they're wanting to do on their phone, but it doesn't bring about good results for really anyone. And then teachers get blamed for not teaching. Well, they're trying. But cell phones are just the epitome of disruption and bad practice. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving along, new business. Number 1, discussion update, Data Walls Fall 2022. Dr. Schultz.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to be very brief about this. For anyone that's interested, you can click into the link for our agenda, and you can see some of our data walls that are up in our schools. We have data walls in all of our 13 elementary schools, our 2 middle schools and 2 high schools. It's a way of showing just a baseline for ELA and math scores right now, and it's a way that we can be very transparent about showing data, getting kids excited about it, and showing them a school-wide goal. And so I'll be presenting the images of that at the next school committee meeting, but I just wanted to give you a little preview of that and explain it a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Number 2, discussion update, high school student leadership teams. Mr. McCaffrey and Ms. Danbrook.
Madam Chair, members of the school committee, Assistant Superintendent McCaffrey and I are meeting with student leadership teams at both Pilgrim and Tollgate. I'd like to thank Ms. Bernardi and Mr. Livesey for organizing the teams, which include a diverse group of students from each grade level. The purpose of these teams is to give students a voice. This is an opportunity to receive feedback regarding their experiences and to let them share some ideas that they have. I'd also like to thank Mr. Cornell for encouraging us to move forward with this initiative. And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. McCaffrey. We had our first meeting at Pilgrim, and I'd like him to share a little bit about that experience.
Last Wednesday during advisory, we had the opportunity to meet with the student group. The common theme that we heard was that the faculty, staff, and students, faculty, staff, and administration care about the students. Further, they said the administration is always willing to receive ideas regarding extra clubs and activities and allow students to create new opportunities when they have interests. Finally, I would say that based on the snapshot of time with the group, it is apparent that the faculty, staff, and administration have created a positive school climate and culture that supports the students, that they support the students with teaching and learning, and they also support all extracurricular activities, whether it be athletics, student activities, and clubs. Very positive. The students felt it was like a family at Pilgrim High School, so I was pleased with what I had heard from the broad range of students at that time. So hats off to Pilgrim, the faculty, staff, and administration for creating that positive environment for students.
Madam Chair, members of the school committee, I'd also like to add that tomorrow at 10 a.m. we are meeting with the student leadership team at Tollgate High School. We are very, very excited about this initiative. It was just such a great experience spending time with students and listening to them and talking with them and hearing their ideas. So we're very excited about it.
Madam Chair? So this issue has been an important issue for me for a long time. Like before it was even on school committee, when I was still in high school, about 7-8 years ago, I tried to get students involved because students, they're in the classrooms, they know what's going on, and their feedback is essential for the proper running of our school district. And so I've been championing this for a while, and I remember when it first got on, I tried to get students involved, but then COVID hit, so everything just, nothing really happened. But I'm so glad the administration brought this back up, and now they're meeting with students at Pilgrim and Tollgate, and I'm so happy this is happening, and I really hope the next school committee will continue to support this initiative, because it's so important to for the students' voices to be heard, because they're the ones in the school, and they can be have a lot of good information and be very insightful, and could really improve the school district. So thank you very much to the superintendent, Dan Brook, and Mr. McCaffrey for putting this together. I really appreciate that, and I'm glad to say that my last day on this, last meeting at the school committee, that for this to come before us, it really means personally means a lot to me, and I'm so glad that you're putting this forward. So I'm glad I'm leaving with this good action coming, and I hope this continues on for many years to come. So. Thank you so much for doing this.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Testa.
just a quick one. When you meet, no cell phones. But seriously, I'm very excited. Students deserve a voice. They want a voice. They should have a voice. They should be heard. Treat them like adults, right? So it's good. Thank you.
I would just like to add that I think by doing this, it'll also bring more pride for our students in their schools. And I think pride is an important thing for them to have when they're in an institution like a school. I think it should flow into other areas of the school. We have sports and people have pride with that, but not every kid is involved in sports or likes to go and watch sports games. But to get the other students involved in this can bring pride in other ways. And I think this is excellent, and I too am very proud that this is happening. Thank you. Ms. Bacchus?
Just briefly, in the world of education, students are consumers. And as such, we need to listen to what they have to say, what they dream about, what their wish lists are, and perhaps what we can do better. So I champion and applaud this action, and thank you very much.
Okay, next. Number 3, discussion update, FY 2023 Monthly financial report and year-end review for November and December requisitions approved 500 to 4,999. Bring it on, Mr. McGrath.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the school committee. Before you, you'll find my monthly fiscal report. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Madam Chair, I have some questions for Mr. McGrath. Mr. McGrath, I want to point out a couple of things. On your synopsis of where we are, in September, the lunch debt was $16,702. In October, $29,987. In November, $40,139. It's $10,000 a month, and that's what you said the running rate was pretty much, okay?
Correct.
Now, you did give us information from other districts who are having the same problem, and just for comparative purposes, East Providence is at $47,000, Pawtucket's at $78,000, Cranston's at $103,000, West Warwick is at $41,000. So on a per student capita, they're doing worse than us, but that doesn't make me feel any better. Because this is an ongoing problem. I don't know what else we do with that, but I just wanted to point out for the public that it's $10,000 a month that we're eating, no pun intended, on lunch debt.
Correct. That was why Ms. Machado and I made a point in September of making you aware of this monthly, because we anticipated this issue and wanted to make everyone aware. So,
right, and not to sound like a jerk, but if you can afford to pay it, pay it. If you can't afford to pay it, there are things we can do to help with that. So I have very little tolerance for that. But the other thing I wanted to bring up, I did send you an email. There are a couple of line items that appear to be trending over. Two that interested me. It's not a ton of money, but we're seeing an increase in rentals from building usage, but then we're seeing an increase in cost of building coverage. So
correct.
My point is, if you think at some point we should revisit what we charge for building rental to help offset building coverage, then that might be something for another committee to take up.
yeah, that's one of the things my office is looking at, is reviewing the building use policy as a whole. That's something that will probably need to be updated in the next few months, along with the rates, because the rates are kind of old. So it will be something that.
Right, and I don't think they've been done for several years ago, I think, when
correct,
they were done.
Yeah.
Right,
Yep.
okay. And then ESSER funds. You did give me what the 3 tranches of ESSER money were and when they needed to be spent by. And my concern, and I'm going to put it out there now, is we need to plan for a life after ESSER. I know the problem we're going to have is we may have devoted ESSER funds to good things, like math interventionists everywhere, right? Absolute value to that, and that has a cost. So if we were to try to keep that in a post-ESSER world, that's going to be a big chunk of change. So, and that's on administration to figure out. It's not for the school committee to decide what to do, but I am really concerned about what we do when the ESSER funds are gone. And I know you're developing a total accounting of them, which is good because the public needs to know what we spent them on. I think we've been good with our ESSER funds and how we've used them. We used some of them for technology, and that's great because we go into it every 3-year cycle. But when that goes away and we have to go into a 3-year cycle, that comes out of our operating budget. So, pushing a 3-year cycle to a 4-year cycle has its risks, right? So those are things we have to, because we can't go back to the city every single year for $5 million. That's just not a realistic scenario in anybody's mind, I hope. So, I just wanted to say now that we got some, you guys have some thinking to do, and the future school committee is going to have some tough decisions to make. But again, I said it at the beginning of this budget season, I'll say it again. If I think we can justify and stand up and defend it in the public square, we'll do that.
Yeah, correct. I do agree the 2024 budget will be very challenging due to those factors you mentioned. So it will be a challenge, but we'll work through it together.
Yeah, okay. I think that's everything I had. Yes, thank you.
Mr. Testa spoke about the lunches and that we're running $10,000 a month. This is going to snowball once again. And the easiest thing that parents can do is to tell us, to come to us to fill out the forms, or to tell us, look, I'm having a hard time. It's okay. We all go through hard times. But we do have vehicles to help you. And it's not just the federal form. There are other agencies in the community that are willing to help out and that have funds for this. So please, please, if your child is having a, not going to school with lunch, or doesn't have a free lunch, but you can't afford to pay for it, please give us a call, because there are other avenues, and we don't have to break, our bank over here spending money for food, because there are other avenues to go where we don't have to go into the general budget, which is already earmarked for all kinds of stuff that we just need your help. Thank you.
I mentioned this, I think when this was brought up a couple of months ago. When I first got on the school committee 4 years ago, Mr. Ferrucci was in your seat, and he handed me, well, he didn't hand it to me because it was too much. There was a pile about that high of invoices that needed to be sent out, and it was equivalent to $75,000. And I'm not going to reiterate what Ms. Bacchus and Mr. Testa said, but you can also go online, and it is very confidential. It is very confidential. People take pride in themselves and sometimes have a hard time asking for help, but it's there for you, and anyone in our district would love to help you. And again, you can also do it online, but we can't have $75,000 in debt over school lunches. That can go very far in our kids' education, so please just ask for help. Any other questions on the budget? Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, next is discussion action, professional employee discipline hearing. Mr. McCaffrey and Mrs. Ruggieri.
Good evening, Madam Chair. We seek your approval of the disciplinary recommendation made to you in executive session.
Move approval?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, number 5, discussion action, the Wise Union grievance 22-498, termination without just cause.
Madam Chair, we ask your denial for grievance 22-498 of the Wise Union.
I move for denial of grievance 22-498.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, discussion action of appeal of GPA calculations. Ms. D'Ambra.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the school committee, I'm asking you to uphold the recommendation that was made by the administrators.
I move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, number 7, discussion action, a one-on-one teaching assistant request from Holloman. Mrs. Ruggieri.
Hello again. I come to you tonight for a request that came out of the special education department. They are requesting a one-on-one TA at Holloman Elementary School. This was just written into a student's IEP, so it is a needed but unbudgeted position. Ms. Barber and Mr. Allenbach are here if you have any questions.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, number 8, discussion action, 1 special educator and 2 teacher assistant requests for Welk. Ms. Martin.
Hi, good evening, Madam Chair, members of the school committee, Superintendent Danbrook. I'm here tonight on behalf of the Warwick Early Learning Center, looking to hire a full-time special education teacher and 2 full-time teaching assistants with a start date of January 3rd. This is a item that is not budgeted for. But due to a extremely large increase in our referrals from early intervention and child outreach screenings, we are in need of another classroom. Just to give you a frame of reference, to date, my one early childhood team has already received 125 referrals to our special education team. Last year, we had a total of 185 referrals, so we are on pace to exceed that. I do want to note that this is not for poor planning. The state right now has a waiting list for early intervention, and on December 27th, the state will be releasing that waiting list. We are not sure what that impact will have on us, how many students we'll be receiving. We've had a large number of students who have transitioned or transferred into the system as well. So a lot of the students coming to us, there's no way of projecting what's out in the community. So we are in need of another teacher and teaching assistant. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I move approval.
Second.
I do have a couple questions.
Okay,
Sure.
Mr.
Thank
Testa.
Ms. Martinez, so in order to, well, let me back up first. So are there fewer preschools open with the influx of kids, right?
Sure, yep.
In your opinion, what's driving that? Is it fewer preschools that are open?
So
COVID?
the children that come to us are all students who are in need of special education. And so we are the only preschool in the city that provides services to children with IEPs. We are now seeing children who have been part of the pandemic, they're pandemic babies, coming through to us. We have had an increase in screenings of children who are simply not passing the general developmental screening that the VOWS team does for us, and just the high number of referrals from pediatricians as well as community partners and early intervention.
Okay.
So they all have to funnel through us for evaluation and then ultimately determining if they're eligible for special education.
And if, I don't know if the state has passed universal pre-K. Did they pass that?
No, not yet.
But they talk about it,
We'll
right?
be coming forward in the next couple of years. It is my understanding that it's universal pre-K for 4-year-olds.
Okay. And so my last question is, to accommodate that, you're going to need more space, right? You're going to have to need space in your building, right?
Right now, we have two available classrooms. Well, we have two available classrooms. One is currently occupied by the volunteers of Warwick, and
Yep.
the other one is a vacant classroom. But yes, we
Yeah.
are outgrowing. We outgrew Drumrock, and now we are outgrowing Welk at JBF.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I do have a question.
Of course.
Where are we going to put the room? Do we have the room there?
So we do have a vacant room, which we will be able to put this classroom, absolutely.
Okay,
Yep.
wow. Every time I'm in there, it looks pretty full.
It's all of our classrooms right now are full.
Right.
With reaching our comfort, our safety numbers around 7 or 8 students, and our integrated classrooms cannot exceed 15 students.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Motion
Oh,
was
yes.
approved, right?
And just to, the program that will be opening will be, instead of a full-day classroom, it'll be 2 half-day classrooms so that we can take 14 children instead of 7.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, you have something?
No.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, number 9, discussion action, contract award. Warwick Area Career and Tech Center, Roger Williams University CT Teacher Certification Program. Mr. Kane.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the school committee. About a year ago, we hired a new construction trades teacher. As part of that, we agreed to get him fully certified, so was able to apply for a grant through Department of Ed. It's pretty much a yearly grant that we apply for. So this is to get him certified through Roger Williams. He's already on that path right now.
Excellent.
No cost to the district.
Excellent.
Okay.
We like that.
I know.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Mr. Kane. Number 10, discussion action, contract awards, technology. Dr. Taylor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the school committee. What we have before you is we've lumped all of the hardware purchases into one item, seeking your approval. These items as listed, Chromebook purchase, faculty and staff or out of faculty and staff Chromebooks. Those go to folks that meetings like this, when you approve the new staff members, we want to have devices ready to support. Adaptive the Chromebook purchase faculty and staff, that's budgeted through ESSER. Chromebook purchases, adaptive technology, that's part of that ECF grant that was written and received, and that's to support Chromebooks for students that require the adaptive technology, and that's budgeted. Laptop purchases, staff is a budgeted expense. Laptops versus Chromebooks, those are folks that require a Windows-based machine, administrators, folks that work at the administration building, that Windows machines are obsolete and outdated and need to be replaced. Same with technicians. Their laptops are to the point where they definitely need to be replaced. And Chromebook parts make all the Chromebooks work when we need to repair them. So we'd ask for your approval on these items, all budgeted in different areas.
Move approval.
Second.
Second, one question for Dr. Taylor?
Yes.
Thank you. Is only one of these coming from ESSER 3 and the rest of them are operating? Or grants or whatever?
Correct. So ESSER 3 is the Chromebook purchase for faculty and staff as well as Chromebook parts. And then the laptop purchase for staff and technicians are from the general fund budget, and the Chromebook purchase for adaptive technologies, ECF federal grant.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Taylor, thank you for your due diligence on this. I was looking at some of the prices, and you negotiated a good deal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We definitely take that very seriously, and the better prices we can get, the more technology we can get for our people.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Again, Dr. Taylor, discussion action, contract award, technology cloud backup solution purchase.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is also a budget expense. We're looking to migrate some of our backup to the cloud with a comprehensive backup solution, as well as replace some servers that we have in our data center. We'd seek your approval this evening.
Move approval.
Second, and I have two quick questions. I know it's the last in December, I know, okay. Dr. Taylor, two things. Number one, it says that part of the outcome of this would be allow us to eventually deprovision existing and obsolete on-premise servers. What's that time frame?
So we're looking at the scope of work looks that as soon as we have approval, we'll move into the project phase, and hopefully within the next 3 to 4 months, we'll be at a place where we can deprovision some of those servers that are antiquated and need to be moved along.
Okay. And the last part is, we're going with it's Wally? Is that how you pronounce it?
correct.
Okay. Wally Computer Associates, because it makes sense as they are a managed service provider, which is fine. Do we bid our managed services provider?
We do, yes. We bid our managed services provider through the E-rate process. E-rate currently funds 60% for our district, and they fund 60% of our managed services. That's a Category 2 E-rate expense. So it is bid competitively through the E-rate competitive bid process. But then just to that point too, if I can add on to the E-rate point, because it's an excellent point, that does dovetail very importantly to those free and reduced lunch applications as the government and E-rate decides our level of need. We currently receive 60% reimbursement. Next year we look like we'll receive 50% reimbursement because of those numbers. So it's very, very important for folks to get out there and fill those out.
So there's a connection between free and reduced lunch percentage and any rate reimbursement?
Very much so, yes, because the free and reduced lunch percentage gives the government for our grants, for E-rate funding, for federal funding, for title funding, the level of need that the district has. So if folks fill out those forms and qualify, we would qualify for a higher level of need versus not.
Mr. McGrath just gave you the hairy eyeball now because it's going to come out of operating budget, right? So
it's such a very important point, though, that just folks, definitely take the time to fill that out if you need to.
Finance guys live in a valley.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Taylor. Number 12, discussion action, contract award, curriculum book vending machine for Sherman. Dr. Cecil.
Yes, good evening again, Madam Chair. School Committee, this is a request for Sherman to purchase one of the book vending machines. I know Hoxie had a big article done on them, big news story. We have the arts grant that we received over the summer, and schools received an allotment. And the principal from Sherman asked, could she use the arts grant towards this? Because the machine will be filled with books that are STEAM-related, which will include the arts and science and technology, and so therefore it was an allowable expense. So that's why we're bringing it forward tonight. It's all grant-funded and seeking approval.
Move approval. Dr. Cecil, when I read about this, I was like, this is absolutely fantastic. I was so excited. It just sounds so great to have a vending machine of books where kids get to go and get a reward and it's just fantastic. I just love it. Thank you so much.
Found a good way, a good workaround to afford it, which was to use the arts grant.
It's magnificent. Thank you so much.
I'll second Ms. Backus's motion, and maybe there's a grant out there that can buy 11 more for the other 11 elementary schools. Don't worry. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
know we're working on that.
Yeah, no, it is.
Figured it out, 11 more will follow.
Yeah, terrific,
Yes.
thank you.
I don't know if anyone has had the chance to go into Hoxie. I was there actually before it arrived because they wanted to talk about possibly putting in a new electrical outlet. But they found a spot for it, which was great. So we didn't have to do any new electrical work. And when it came in, I saw it, and it's absolutely fantastic. And I'm glad it's trickling down into the other schools, and other schools are saying, hey, we want one, because this thing is awesome. I highly recommend to my colleagues to go to Hoxie and check this out. It's really cool. And when you use grant money, you know how I feel about that. Even when I'm not here, I'm cheering for your grant money, Dr. Cecil.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Mr. Cornell.
So just, I'm just curious, so how does this vending machine work?
Go check it out, it's really good.
Sure, I can take that. Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the school committee. The Scholastic Book Fair has offered to help supply some of the books into the vending machine, and the way that Hoxie is working it is based on a reward system. So when they earn some of these rewards, they go down to the office and they receive a token that works in the book vending machine. There was an article, I believe, on Channel 12 with Shannon Hagee, so you could just look that up. It is on my website as well. And then the little girl that was the star of the show literally puts the coin in and gets to decide what book she wants and presses D2, and the book comes out. And when they asked her why she chose that book, without any prompting, she said, I want to read it to my baby brother.
Interesting. Yeah. Thank you for explaining, because like this is new to me, and it's a new thing, correct?
Yes, it's and this is the first one in the district for us. And again, hats off to Principal McElroy, who realized that the grant would work for this. So I can imagine month after month, we'll be here asking for being grant funded, another one and another one and another one, until all of our schools have them.
Yeah, and it's great that this is a grant paying for this. So thank you
It
for
is.
doing this. It sounds like a great thing. Thank you. Aye.
Okay, number 13, discussion action, contract award, curriculum, Wilson Language Training Foundation's materials. Dr. Schultz.
Good evening, everybody. So this is a budgeted item, and it's a very exciting item. We have a lot of teachers that have eagerly waited to get some foundations materials to help support the training that they received over the summer. And so we have a large list, a wish list from teachers that we've compiled, and you can see how many pages it is, but these materials are wonderful. They help support phonics for our students in grades K to 2. So I'm just requesting your approval.
Move approval. Oh, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Number 15, discussion action. Oh, 14, thank you. Discussion action, contract award curriculum, Braining Camp District License. Dr. Schultz.
Thank you. Yes, this is another budgeted purchase from local funds, and this Braining Camp is a fabulous math tool that teachers and students can use, where it takes, instead of having the manipulatives that we kind of had to stop using during the pandemic because of germs and all of that, you can use it on the computer, and the students can help move things around, and it's a great way for them to visualize mathematically what's happening in their brains. So I'm just requesting your approval. Teachers love it. So.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor? Oh, discussion?
It sounds great because they get to see it and experience it in different modalities,
ways.
which is wonderful.
Absolutely.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, you're not going anywhere. Discuss in action, curriculum revisions, visual arts, science, and business. Dr. Schultz.
Yes, thank you so much. So before you this evening, I have many documents up for approval. I'm very excited about it. This is our second year of curricular revisions at the high school and our first official year at the middle school. And so I can go through them. The visual arts that I'm bringing to you are for 2 and 3D design, 1 and 2, studio art 1 and 2, 1A and 1B, sculpture and ceramics, digital photography. We have science, marine science, intro to genetics, forensics 1, bio 1 honors, bio 1, and then we have 3 business courses as well. Intro to sports and entertainment, financial literacy, which is one of the requirements for graduation, and college and career planning. So much work has been put into these items. I just want to thank everyone that worked on them at the high school level. We have really strong leads that have helped facilitate this, and so I just wanted to get your approval on those documents so I can post them on our website.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Number 16, discussion action, middle school ELA.
Yes, this is also another curricular approval. They are the first of the middle school, if I'm not mistaken, to complete the revision. And kudos to the ELA department at the middle school level. They worked really hard, worked really well together, and so you'll see a document for grade 6, grade 7, and grade 8 that's complete on our new template that aligns to the vision of a graduate. So I'm just requesting your approval on this as well.
I move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Dr. Schultz, I did look at these on some of the texts, and it's nice to see that there are some classic texts being used, because good literature doesn't get old. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and number 17 is discussion action, the 2023 monthly school committee amended meeting schedule. We amended April to April 18th, 2023, because I think we had it on a vacation, so now it's not. So,
Move approval.
Madam Chair?
yes.
I just think it's funny that this is the last vote of the three of us on the school committee is regarding something that will have nothing to do with. So
We're having a meeting.
Yeah.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I would just like to also preface this. This is also, I mean, you two, like, obviously the schedule can be changed. So it's like, obviously we're just setting a schedule going forward, but if you, for some reason, decide you want it to be the third Wednesday of every month, you have the power to do so. It doesn't have to be set in stone to every Tuesday of the second Tuesday of every month, as we just amended April 18th.
It's your prerogative.
I have a motion to approve. Oh, we already did. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next is public comment. With this public comment, you can comment on anything you'd like.
It's on now. Okay. For a minute there, I thought I was loud enough, but Leah Hazelwood, and I wanted to address Ms. Cobden, Mr. Adams, and Mr. Cornell, and thank you for your 4 years of service to the city of Warwick and to Warwick schools. You did it during one of the most difficult times anybody could undertake, COVID, smack in the middle of your term on a weekly basis, showing up to try to get things in line for Warwick schools. And it hasn't been overlooked. It's much appreciated by many of us in the community. And I just wanted to congratulate you on finishing your term, and thank you.
Hi, is the mic on? Hello, it's Tara Lavasser again. I would like to make another comment because you stated, David Testa, that the surveys only come from RIDE and that they're only federal government, and to talk to my congressman. However, with the Panorama contract that I was provided with public records request, each school district uses Panorama products to run surveys, and the district determines what questions are on those surveys. So it doesn't only come from RIDE, and each school district determines the questions on those surveys. It states each school district uses Panorama Progress, decides what tools, what survey questions are right for that school district's community. They have the authority to change the questions. They have the authority to make different surveys, and they have the authority to give different surveys. My child has also had self-reflection surveys that I didn't opt in for. Self-awareness surveys I didn't opt in for, self-assessment surveys I didn't opt in for, and those were not on the opt-out forms that were emailed. Also, parents did not all receive these emails. A lot of the emails went to the children's email accounts and not the parents' accounts. Also, there was only a 2-week time limit to opt out. So if the parent didn't even receive the email and it went to the child's account, and then when they figured out how to do it via social media, then they didn't have time to opt out on Aspen because it was already shut down. So I'm not trying to be a pain in the butt, but the contract clearly states that I received that the school district has different surveys as well, and that's what we're fighting for. We're just fighting for transparency. I have an 8-year-old. My 8-year-old can't answer the questions on those surveys. And I can only opt out of 2 surveys on Aspen because I got the email, not my child's account. But for my son's account, it went to his account, not mine. I'm not trying to be the parent that wants to make you mad. I'm trying to be the parent that doesn't want my daughter to answer at 8 years old in 3rd grade a self-reflection question about political beliefs or sexual content that she doesn't really know the meaning of. And I can't see these surveys because I have an email from Andrew, a public record request of a demo survey, so I could even look at it before she took it. I'm just trying to protect my kid. That's all I'm trying to do as a parent, trying to send her to school with a clear head as a parent, because unfortunately, I can't afford private school, and I'm a dental hygienist and my husband's a mechanic. We don't have shabby jobs. Because honestly, I don't want to have to worry about this every day. I just want my child to go to school and learn her academics, because I honestly do love public school system. I grew up in one. But I'm scared to send her to school knowing that this is what I have to worry about every day. I'm just looking for some help.
Julie Connors Costello, Warwick taxpayer, homeowner, product of the Warwick Public Schools, 26-year veteran teacher at Windman Middle School. And I'd just like to say thank you to Judy for your service here on the school committee, to Kyle also. Thank you for your service. And Nathan, I'm ever so proud of you as your former social studies teacher, and thank you for your service. Now, while I'm in the business of thanking, I'd like to thank Dr. Cecil for working so hard on the cell phone policy with the rest of the committee. You know, as an educator, it is very difficult when you are competing with the cell phone. It truly is. I think that the cell phone policy updates will help us with things like school dances and TikToks made in our ladies' rooms, and to help prevent things like bullying. So when kids post the pictures that they're taking or TikToks that they're making, you know, that involve other students, which is just not cool, you know, it won't be tolerated. Next thing I'd like to just ask Dr. Cecil, are we going to be working on the dress code again by chance? Because boy, we still need it. Okay, I know I'm not waiting for an answer. Thank you for your time.
Hi, Darlene Netco again. First of all, I don't know if anyone else has noticed. I mean, I've been coming to these meetings now for, well, since at least 91, when there was trouble afoot and I needed to start coming to these meetings. But I've noticed since these meetings have been held at Vets, there's some kind of bright flashing light that a strobe light that goes off every now and again, and it looks like photos are being taken, and I don't think they are, but who's ever in charge of that, it needs to stop, because it's going to give, you know, somebody with certain medical conditions some problems. Earlier, we heard about an administrator who was leaving and the hard work that administrators do. Well, I want to remind you about all the hard work that our teachers do. And teachers also put in well over their contractual school day worth of work, and especially our elementary teachers. And we heard about, you know, some foundations materials, but let's not forget they have letters, they have GemsNet, they have foundations, they have iReady, now they have Wit and Wisdom. High school and middle school also are inundated with work, and all of us teachers, I've been doing it for 35 years, I can tell you I wish I were a lawyer and was getting paid billable hours, because the hours I put in don't match, you know, the salary. But the teachers are overwhelmed also, and many are leaving the profession. There have been national articles on the national news about teachers leaving this profession because they can't take it anymore. But within this district, one thing that you can do, especially to help our elementary teachers right now who need all of this professional development with all these brand new programs, would be to put the professional development money back into the budget. Because we don't have the building subs. I know we need to find subs first, but we don't have a way to compensate people for working on the weekends to do the work they need to. They're being told they have to do, and we don't have PD money for the day to pay subs, and we don't have any structural arrangement within our elementary school for these people to be able to do this professional development that they need. So that needs to go into the budget. And next, I wanted to thank some people too. Some people beat me to it, but I wanted to thank Kathy Bonang for all of her years of service to this district. I mean, I met Kathy a long time ago, and we were on a couple of committees together way back when, in the D'Agostino years and the Rorschach years and whatever. I mean, but you know, Kathy has done an invaluable, been of invaluable service to this school department. And under the previous superintendent, we actually called her Superintendent Bonang, because whenever the press would call, our previous superintendent would run away and hide and leave Kathy to answer the phone. Or I remember also once left Karen Backus to try to answer questions, which wasn't nice of him, but that's what he did. So thank you to Kathy. And I heard of Cindy Peloso's retirement also tonight. and she's not here, but thank you to her for 46 years, I think 46 years in this, in Warwick. And I just heard about Betty O'Leary, too, retiring as custodian at Greenwood. And I know Betty came to many of these school committee meetings to talk about the custodial situation. I know what pride she took at Greenwood, and I think everybody would agree about what a great condition Greenwood Elementary School was in because of Betty. So, you know, and thank you to everybody else, you know, who decided to leave, either retire, you know, after long years of service. I know Debbie Lage, our secretary at Pilgrim, is retiring. She started in the Tollgate English department back when we had an English in there too. And I also wanted to, you know, thank Judy and Kyle and Nathan for their service. And as Leah said, they served along with Dave and Karen during probably the most difficult time in Warwick School Committee history during the pandemic. And these people had to make decisions that were unpopular, but they did those decisions to keep people safe. And they were, the governor and the commissioner of education excoriated them on television, on the news. I remember David Testa was on one of the talk shows because I followed him up. I followed up, you know, afterwards. And I just had to say to the guy, look, everything David Testa said was correct. We can't open schools with box fans and windows when we don't have windows to put them in. Right? So this committee did the thoughtful thing, opened vets with special ed programs, because vets actually has a working HVAC system. I know it needs to be fixed right now. There are some issues with it. But, you know, Tollgate has an H system. And just barely. Windman is being fixed now, H system. Wyman has steam heat. John Brown Francis, I believe, had oil heat. Oil, you know, so our school buildings are a mess. And you can't put kids into them when you've got an unknown, you know, virus going on. So our district did the proper thing, ordered 13,000 air purifiers. I teach in an inside classroom. I have 3 of them going every day in my room. So the quality of air is actually better in there than it probably was before the pandemic. But our school committee was frequently brought or asked to have special meetings because the previous superintendent set them up on many occasions, set up the director of elementary, you know, about putting kindergarten into vets. It was an ugly time, and these people stepped up. So, and I'm sure perhaps one of the factors in deciding not to seek re-election probably was the absolute hell they went through during the pandemic. But I thank all 5 of you for your work during the pandemic, and I thank Judy, Nathan, and Kyle for their work. And I hope, you know, whatever you decide to do next, I wish you, you know, the best of luck in any future endeavors that you have. And, you know, and welcome to the 3 new school committee members. And I, you know, I look forward to working productively together. My door is always open. Call anytime, and, you know, we'll talk, because, like, I have a lot of time in this district. You know, I have a very long institutional memory, and I am willing to share my insights and my knowledge with anyone who is willing to listen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Darlene. Anyone else? Okay. Information from the superintendent. The first is exiting school committee members farewell. Ms. Cobden, Mr. Adams, and Mr. Cornell. Ms. Danbrook.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the school committee, I can only imagine what a bittersweet time this is for all of you. On behalf of all the administrators and all the Warwick community, I want to offer our sincere gratitude for your thoughtfulness and support. We truly appreciate all the hard work that you have done over the past 4 years to improve teaching, learning, and our facilities. You have provided many positive opportunities and experiences for all members of the Warwick School community. You've made these accomplishments during a pandemic that turned things upside down, one of the worst times in our country and the world. Your dedication has truly made a difference to many, many people. We wish you all the best in your future endeavors, and I sincerely thank you for your service and wish you all the best. And also like to thank Mr. Tester and also Ms. Backus for their service as well. But thank you for your 4 years, and I also am looking forward to working with our new school committee members. So good luck.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, Mr. Testa.
Thank you. Madam Chair, Mr. Adams, and Mr. Cornell, you know, I want to thank you for serving alongside of you for 4 years. It goes by in a flash, literally does. Yeah, we didn't always agree on everything, but I think we were civil, and we can't be expected to agree on everything, but we can always be expected to be civil, and we were. And I wish you all the best in the future endeavors. It wasn't easy, and there were times where it was like pushing the rock up a hill, but we came through it. I think we did the best we could, and good luck in whatever else your future holds.
Thank you. Mr. Adams? And Mr. Cornell?
So, so when I was elected to the school committee, I was 20 years old, just 2 years out of high school. But my involvement with the Warwick schools predated back starting when I was in high school, around my junior year of high school. Like during that time, consolidation was a major issue, and at the time, I felt like the students' voices weren't being heard. So I started attending school committee meetings, voicing my opposition and to many decisions made by school committee at the time that were, I thought, made no sense. So and I believed getting the students involved. So I created a club called the Educationist Club to try to get students involved in education. And my efforts continued through my senior year. I had meetings with different class presidents from like Pilgrim, Vets, and Tollgate. We had a meeting, and eventually my involvement with the schools led to me running for school committee because I felt like a lot needed to change, and I wanted to be a part of that. So I ran for school committee, and I went through these schools from K to 12. I went to Cedar Hill, I went to Windman, and I went to Tollgate. So I grew up in this community, and the school district means a lot to me, and at 20 years old, like running for school committee is no easy task. Actually, my first run was when I was 18 years old, and for at-large C, I was unsuccessful, but I learned a lot. And in the next 2 years, every day, my main focus was running for school committee, and I worked harder than I ever have in my life, like canvassing my whole district, which is not a small area. The Ward 7, 8, 9, like a third of the city, but a lot of that is rural area and neighborhoods not really clustered together. So, but and also at the time, like I was 20 years old, I was still in college, and a lot of people were saying like, you're too young to run for school committee. Like no 20-year-old's ever been elected in Warwick at the time. But I pushed those concerns aside, and I was determined. And my constituents, I'm honored that they elected me to this role, which I've served for the last 4 years. And it was not an easy time, like especially with COVID, and we have many other things, but COVID especially, like this was probably the hardest time for any school committee in the nation. And I just happened to be on the school committee at the time here, and we made a lot of decisions. A lot of them were unpopular, but however, I can say I don't regret any of the decisions we made during the pandemic. What we did was for the best interest of the students, like for the health of the students, and I'm proud of the school committee for working together and standing up against politicians who are criticizing us for doing what we know was right, and we stood strong, and we did not let them defeat us. We did what we thought was right, and now we're at this place now, and I do not regret any decisions we made then. And I'm really proud of my colleagues for doing that, and it was an honor to serve with all of you. And now, after 4 years, like when I started, a lot of people were saying, you'll never get through the school committee. Like, you're too young, you don't have the experience, you don't have the knowledge. And I did learn a lot being at school committee, and those lessons will serve me for the rest of my life. But after 4 years, I got through it, and that means other young people can run for office and serve an elected office too. And I hope that they will follow this example and run, because we need young people in office, especially students who went through our school system to get their voice. So it's my deepest hope that in the future, another person who went through our school district, another person in their 20s, runs for school committee so we can have that perspective. But it's been a great honor serving my community, the constituents in District 3 and the people in the city of Warwick. And I'll miss the school district, I'll miss all of you. A lot of the people who served in the administration, like before they got, Mr. McCaffrey, I remember having conversations with you and Mr. Schravis at cafeteria when I was in high school. And now you're assistant superintendent. Ms. Danbrook, you were director of elementary, and I served on a subcommittee when I was a student with you. And now you're superintendent. And that's the same with many people. I've had to accept retirements of teachers, some of my former teachers, which was kind of strange, and see them off. And it's just been an incredible experience. And it's an experience that I'll never forget for the rest of my life. And I thank all of you for let me to have this role, and I thank you for accepting me, and just it's just been such a great honor to serve you, and I'll miss you. And while my time is moving on, I'll never forget you. Thank you.
Mr. Adams?
So I would second the thanks. It's been a wild 4 years. We were barely a year in before we got hit with the pandemic. But before I go into that, I did want to congratulate Mr. Galligan, Ms. Hazelwood, and Ms. Kirby Chapman. I do not think is here, but for not going to miss that. for getting onto the school committee. It's going to be hopefully not as wild a ride for you guys as it was for us. But I mean, a pandemic was hopefully once in a lifetime, and we won't have anything that detrimental and harmful again. And to speak to the changes that has happened since we have come on, I mean, most of you guys, the administration, have changed. I mean, Mr. Oliver and Mr. Gothberg, Ms. Stanbrook, Mr. McCaffrey, I mean, you are all administrators, and you still are, so I'm proud of what we did as a school committee and as an administration in the direction that we were going, and I hope to continue going. I hope the new school committee sees the benefit that everyone has brought to the table, because I truly believe in the vision that this administration has put forward, and I think that they can put this district on a good track. I think I can speak for everyone here that believes in that. And then I guess to answer Darlene's statement about why the pandemic might be some reasons for why people didn't run, I guess I'll actually say mine, because mine was kind of pretty not public, except for the people up here and a few people down there. But to make it short, I did not think I could run and deal with cancer at the same time. So that's why I didn't run. So other than that, I thank you all for everything over the past 4 years. It's been wild. I wish the new school committee good luck. Mr. Testa and Ms. Bacchus, thank you for the support. Thank everyone else for the support that you have shown me, especially the past few months. And thank you all for the amazing work you have all done for us in the school, in the Warwick School District. Thank you.
Guess it's my turn. This is a bittersweet moment for me. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve my beloved city of Warwick, the Warwick Public School System, which I was educated through from kindergarten to 12th grade. I too went here. I was at John Brown Francis, Aldrich and Pilgrim, and mostly it was an honor and a privilege to serve my district too. I didn't really give any public information out either. Like, I don't think any of us did, why we did not run, but due to needing to concentrate on some of my health issues and other endeavors, I elected not to run. As it is a 4-year commitment, and it definitely deserves a person who can give 100% to this job. And during this time, with what I see in my future, I don't feel that I was going to be able to give that 100%, and it would be difficult, and therefore, I didn't feel that I wouldn't run. I think anybody who runs for office needs to be prepared to give 100%, which I tried to do throughout my 4 years. I will not disappear, though, and I will stay and continue advocating as I did for years before I got on the committee with parents and the children and their IEPs and anything else that I need to advocate for. I will also stay advocating for our teachers, our buildings, our administration. I'll advocate for everything, so I'm not gone. I'll still be around. And you will still see me helping out at PTAs and PTO events whenever I'm asked or needed. I will be there. And I'd like to wish the school committee-elect for District 2, Leah Hazelwood, the best, the best. You got a great district, and I know you'll do your district proud. I've known you for a long time, and I know that you have the heart to do this. And I also wish Mr. Galligan and Miss Kirby Chapman the best in their seats for the next 4 years. I also want to thank all my colleagues on this committee. Yeah, we had a rough time. It wasn't fun. But we got through it, and I'm very proud on how the 5 of us stood together, making very tough decisions no matter who called us names every week and said unpleasantries about us. But we did a good job, and I, too, do not regret any of our decisions, and we did the best and what was safest for our kids. And I know that this committee will continue. Mr. Testa, you have said some really great lines throughout my 4 years, but today you topped it with the pen pals in the Philippines, okay? You topped that one. You absolutely topped all 4 years, all your little anecdotes, all your little sayings. That was the best one, by far, by far. I wish Mr. Tester and Ms. Bacchus the best. I know you will both continue supporting our district and doing your best for our children, for our schools, for our administration, for our teachers, for all our staff, our amazing TAs. I've gotten to know so many people in this district, and it's been just an absolute pleasure, and that will be the bittersweet. I'm going to miss everybody that I see on a daily basis and talk to. And my administration, I agree, we have the best right now. Yep. And the 5 of us worked very hard to do this. And I pray that it stays like this, because this is truly, in the 6-7 years I've been involved, the best administration that we could ask for. And I thank you all for your support. As being chair, you've all been very team-oriented and team-focused, and it made my job easier sitting as a chair to organize things. And I thank you, especially Ms. D'Ambrook, Mr. McCaffrey. I'm still gonna send you guys silly texts. I'm sorry. Remember, I still have you on speed dial, especially you, Jeff, Dr. Taylor. We're gonna still have our good banter. So I will be around. I will be sitting out there, I promise, as much as I can. And thank you very much. It has been a complete honor.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
I would just like to add that I am currently fine. I didn't say that part, but I am currently fine. It's a few more years of observation, but that's better than the alternative.
Thank you for letting them know.
Ms. Bacchus?
But I want to thank Nathan, Kyle, and Judy for their service. We've had some battles with the state and different entities, but we kept going and we kept showing up. And I wish you all very positive endeavors in the future and much success and joy. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Back to work. No, we have to, I have a few more things. And you're not over till the end of the year. Future meetings. We have an Achievement Subcommittee meeting on December 20th at 2:30 p.m. We have a Policy Subcommittee meeting January 5th at 4 p.m. We have a Warwick School Building Committee at January 4th at 7:30 a.m. And our monthly school committee meeting will be on January 10th, 7 o'clock p.m. Oh, and we also missed the inauguration of the new school committee members. It's Tuesday, January 3rd. At the Crown. Enjoy it. Have a great time, you two.
Motion to adjourn.
It's a moment you'll remember.
Why didn't you leave it for us?
Right. I'd like to also wish everyone excellent holiday, whatever you celebrate, and have a blessed new year. I wish everyone much health, good health, and prosperity. Thank you.
Adjournment has been moved and seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Use the gavel.
I haven't used it, I think.